And how do you approach that? So, Dieter, thank you very much. We look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you, Robert. Right, Sam, this is hard. 1 hour behind last presentation, this is hard. Thank you very much. I think, first of all, I would like to say thank you to CDI. This is a magnificent day. Thank you for hosting the day in South Africa this year and in this magnificent spot. And the speakers, I mean, guys, you've answered the question. It's been an international perspective, absolutely. So I'm going to be really quick. Yeah. So CEO shared this slide with me 2 weeks ago. I would call this slide the silent death. The blue line is the average sales value over the last 4 years has fallen by 2.4%, whilst the cost of production has gone up by 10%. Now, we all understand basic economics and business. If these two lines continue merging, there'll be a point where they get together and we make no more money, and it's the end of the story, and it's khaki boss growing in our factory, as we see happening around the world. Not that khaki boss is everywhere in the world. But what some companies do, they don't realize this, and every 4 years we restructure, a nice word for cutting heads and cutting costs. We do it 4 times and then we close the factory. And every time we do it, we actually fall faster and faster. What do world-class companies do when they've experienced this? They come to summits like this, and they do what you are doing. And they embark on a serious, deliberate, lean journey. It's the only way that we keep those two lines apart. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do these slides all have in common? You've seen some of them today. Australia, Brazil, China, Germany, Holland, Ivory Coast, Korea, Laos, Malaysia, Madagascar, Morocco, New Zealand, Philippines, Russia, Singapore, Spain, Switzerland, Taiwan, Thailand, and we can go on, and South Africa. What do they all have in common? They have MBUs. They're all on the same journey as you are. And it looks exactly the same, and it's completely not the same. As we've just heard, again from Jacques' presentation, there are some similarities, and there's some things they have in common. And if we understand what is different, we can design a lean journey that is successful. So, first of all, what do they have in common? They all understand, unless you are world-class, unless you can deliver value better than your customers, better, faster, cheaper, as we heard so many times today, that's the reality. If we cannot do that, get out of your game, you're not going to make it. That is the nature of the business that you are in, and every business is in. We also heard again today how this is only possible if we have in place a competence and a vehicle to drive lean. But that's only half the story, maybe even less. What is the important part, we heard it again a few times today, is do we have a high engagement culture? Do we have the talent of every player on board? And are we playing like the All Blacks? Are we playing like the All Blacks? That's how you win games. That's what you need to have in place. Now, what makes this organization work? Well, it's not luck, it's not rain, it's not coincidence. It's always a consequence of deliberate leadership, and we all know the slide. Now, a lean journey is always happening in some form of culture, as we just heard again. The basic lean tools are the same whether you are here or in Pakistan. 5S, SMED, lean workflow, waste elimination. Those tools are the tools you mentioned that we play with. In every country, they're the same. They will not make you world-class. They'll give you a 5% increase in OEE, maybe even 10%, and guess what, 2 years later, you're back to where you were before. The secret lies in this part of the journey. The leadership and the engagement, we heard that so many times today. That is what will make us world-class, plus the rest. Now, this happens in the context of different national cultures. And Geert Hofstede is world-known for his research in the subject. And he defines a number of cultural dimensions you find in countries. And we heard of them today. So interesting to hear about them today. I didn't expect the presentations. So one of the dimensions he calls power distance. We have national cultures where he defines it as the extent to which less powerful members accept and expect that power is distributed unequally, as in Uganda, as in countries like high power distance, where hierarchy is established, it is executed places like Africa, Asia, Latin countries, and Arab. We have a boss and we obey the boss. If that is the culture in which we operate, guess what? You will not become world-class. You will get short-term results, and they will not be sustained. In fact, we have In organizations, maybe elements of this as well. A low power distance countries where authority is questioned and people attempt to distribute power. And these are countries like Austria, Australia, Denmark, Sweden, the UK. Austria, 11 points, UK, 35 points. A lean implementation in these countries is very different and actually quite hard. Because they say to the boss, the frontline says to the boss, who are you? who do you think you are to talk to me like this? You know, I don't agree with you. It's a very different implementation. Yeah, it's easy. The boss says, I want 5S. Yes, boss, we do 5S. Has work become easier? No. Is work safer? No, but we have done 5S. We even have nice brooms, and we don't touch those brooms because it's so nice. So very easy to implement a lean program in these kind of countries and relationships. The second dimension he defines as the individualistic versus the collective culture. The degree to which people in society are integrated into groups. If we don't understand the culture in which we play, guess what? We can make mistakes. Because the I culture is a place such as organizations, clients we have in Europe, Canada, and North America. Very different animal to the collective culture, the we culture, the team culture we heard again today, where loyalty to the in-group is important. And these are the countries where you find the collective culture. The implementation roadmap that we need to design when we are aiming to be successful has to consider these dimensions, as Jeff just said. So what does it mean? In a high-power distance culture, the leadership routines that we heard today, helping the leaders to do the right thing, going to the front line, putting on those shoes, interacting in an effective way, coaching as they go, Gamba coaching, the Gamba walk. These are vital tools to break the power distance that people experience, getting the leader to the front line and interacting with the members. The engaging leadership, the SciSafe module, which says, I care for you. I'm not the boss. I really care for you. The monthly coaching reviews, we mentioned so often today, it's not about the coaching review. It's about the leader getting to the team and interacting with the team and asking how are things going and how can I help you to be successful. The multi-level meeting is not about the multi-level meeting. It's about the leader sitting there, the team's presenting their business results, and the leader demonstrating, I'm getting off my high horse, and I'm asking, how can I help? So when we do these things, the level 2 and 3 support, and you mentioned the inverted V, Bertrand, these are the principles in the process that cater for the high power distance culture that we have in countries, maybe even in organizations. So there's Grant Boven in Malaysia, high power distance country, collective culture. Grant Boven, South African, plant 1,400 people, turn it around like Sin did by going to the front line and getting off that high horse, breaking down the barriers between the power distance leaders and the front line. He himself conducting coaching reviews, and he himself leading multi-level meetings every Friday because it's 1,400 people. And amazing results. He understood how to implement this process in a high power distance culture. So, individualistic culture is slightly different. Here, the SciSafe module, I care for you. Coaching for performance, engaging leadership, team problem solving, getting teams to start working together on problems, assuming leadership roles in the team, and recognizing, as somebody said, in this case, the individual, not so much the team, is the vehicle to go. So in China, we implemented the process and SMED, and it was so interesting to see how the leaders work with their members. I don't speak Chinese. I just know ni hao. That's one word. But the leaders went and they would sit with every operator one-on-one, individualistic culture. Spend time with every person, going through what this operator does in the changeover, during the changeover, saying, how can you help us squeeze out a few seconds? And he would spend hours working with individuals. Then we'd implement the SMED, and they'd celebrate as a team. The guys understand how to engage the current culture and get magnificent results. The collective culture is very different. Here we start, and we really need to do that. Say, what is our purpose? And define our mission in level 5 terms, purpose terms. It speaks to the heart. I remember Sullivan is here, 2005, arriving at KL, a big banner across the highway. Nestle nourishes Malaysia. That's level 5, purpose. It speaks to the heart of every single person. And in the collective culture, that's what you do. Guess what? 5 is people and the collective culture love it because it makes our life easier. The SciSafe module, having the concept of a safe mate, I care for you. engaging leadership, team performance coaching, the multi-level meeting. All of these are, again, tools relevant in a certain way to address the journey in a collective culture. So, in short, Taiwan or Australia or wherever you are in the world, to the ignorant person, we see boards on the wall, and we say, this team is on the way to become world-class. That's not it. There's a lot behind this that needs to be understood and that needs to be applied if you want to be successful. So the key lessons. MBUs are successful in any country. There are far more, however, than a set of charts on the walls and teams meeting. That's just shallow. The national and organizational culture that we play in is very relevant and needs to be understood and read. Success then requires a deliberate planned journey. There are different modules, we call them. They are there for a very good reason. Just putting up a first module and 5S is not ever going to make any company world-class. So make these modules part of your DNA. And finally, results will always be beyond your expectations if we apply the principles correctly. As a last slide, every person desires a life of meaning, worthiness, and purpose. And this is what the MBU process delivers. And that's why it makes a difference. Thank you.